Hello, everyone. Welcome to LLK number 67. I'm Laura Nelkin. I'm a knitwear designer. I live in upstate New York in the Finger Lakes region, and I am joined by my alter ego, Lola. Lola actually just whispered in my ear that she's pretty excited for LLK number 69. I think we're going to have to get up to some antics in two more episodes. Get ready for that. Max might be sick that night and not able to help me with the live. Um, I see many of you are in the chat, and I love when you join me while I am live to chat away in the pop-up box. If you're watching right now and you want to, it would be really great if you could introduce yourself and say where you are watching from. For those of you who have never watched one of my lives before, you will know that I try pretty hard not to read the pop-out box or the chat box too much while I'm live because I think it's not as fun for those of you who are watching it later. I will keep like a little eye on it and kind of like pop in with something if I need to. But if you have any questions and you're watching live, if you can hold those questions till the end of the live, one, it might be that I answer the question, I just haven't gotten to that bit yet, or two, I'll say, now are there any questions? And I'll look over there. Everything that I talk about will end up being linked below this live once I'm done, like a half hour after the live is over. I'll get all of the notes up with all the links to the yarns that I talked about, the workshops, like whatever it is, knit for food, all of those links will end up below this live. So if you like go and get a cup of tea, whatever, grab a snack, come back to it, you'll be able to find all of those links. So for those of you who've been attending my lives for a while, you're old hand, you know how this goes. I'm going to try to keep things serious. My alter ego Lola is going to try to derail me 800 times. I have so much to talk about, and what's going to stop me tonight is when my voice goes out on me because I came back from the cruise a little bit sick and I'm bouncing back, but I'm trying to keep it for Knit for Food on Saturday. So it is so fun to see so many of you from so many different places. I see that someone's joining us from Mexico and Minnesota. We've got some Canadians in the house. We have people from California, Philadelphia, all over. Very fun. Welcome. So last time we did a live, I had a corrections corner. And that I'm never going to be able to top that corrections corner because it was so funny, but you will remember that I got the words schmeg and schmutz confused. And I ended up having to get a new laptop before I left on the cruise because my laptop stopped typing Q. And it turns out I would have it like in copy and paste in the clipboard. It was just too hard to work. So I got a fresh laptop for traveling and we named it Schmeg. And I thought you all would really appreciate my new laptop's name. So now when I go look at the network of all the computers at my house, Schmeg totally shows up on the list, which makes me laugh to no end. I hope I'm excited for somebody to come visiting and see that and be like, what's that computer? Which one, what files live on that one? I got a good laugh out of Max right there. Okay. So before I continue, I want to say thank you so much for all of your birthday wishes and celebrating my birthday month with me. My birthday was at the end of the month, so it must have made my birthday month feel like it was lasting forever. It was really fun to highlight patterns for you all that I hadn't kind of like looked back at in a little while. There's many of you who are new to my designs, and it got to introduce you to some of my favorite patterns. I have almost 400 patterns, so that was just 26 of some of my favorite patterns. And it's a fun way to do a retrospective and also give you a little discount. And you helped me have a really successful month. And I appreciate that very much. Well, I think it was like a win-win-win all the way around on that. I love celebrating my birthday and having presents for you. I am going to do this live like I always do a live. I am going to talk about what is off my needles. I am going to talk about what is on my needles. I am going to talk about Knit for Food. I have a 100 photo slideshow for you of my cruise to South America that was absolutely fantastic in March with a group of lovely knitters. We had a blast together, so much fun. Um, and then I am going to show you, you can't really see it, but to the left of me is a pile of yarn that is very large because we bought yarn throughout the whole trip. So I'll be showing you all of the yarns I got. I'll be announcing the winners for the first quarter knit along in my Ravelry and Facebook group. And some of those yarns that you'll be seeing are the prizes that are going to go out to people that won prizes in March. So that is really fun. And then I'll talk to you about what I'm like listening, reading, watching, eating, all of that jazz. So that's kind of what this evening is going to look like. So I hope you have a cup of tea or some other beverage of choice. I'm going to need to be drinking a little bit more than normal tonight. This is tea in my cup, I promise. And let's jump right in with what is off my needles. And there is a lot off of my needles. Probably the first thing I'll show you, and you'll see him a fair amount later, is this is Pappy. Pappy is a penguin that we all knit on the South America trip, and he was almost done when I showed him to you in the last live, but he got a little cowl, which is a version of the cowl that you're going to see that I designed for the cruise. And if I hold him underneath, I gotta show you this, so let's just get him right there. He got, Audrey gave him a little stitch marker drink, so he's a bit of a boozer, Pappy. This pattern is Ice to Meet You by Sarah Shira. I think she calls him Poppy, like Poppy the Penguin, Poppy, but we all started naming our penguins Pappy. And my Pappy is a little chonky. And you'll see some photos of everybody's penguins later. They all came out. Everybody's Pappies are unique and different. And mine gets the award for the most chunky because I got really into stuffing him with lentils. So many lentils, in fact, that he can hardly see his feet. Poor Pappy. I love you, buddy. I'm going to put him back on his ice flow. Max made him a little yarn flow back here, so he wants to hang out. Let's squeeze your belly so you look good. So that's Mr. Pappy. Also off of my needles is the May Lola's Choice design. So I'm not going to tell you anything about that except that it's really soft and really colorful and yummy. And that yarn is on its way to me, and the beads are on their way to me, and the goodies are on the way. Everything is coming together. The other thing that is off my needles is the first N Club design, and that pattern is going to the tech editor tomorrow. It is all ready to go. Those kits shipped out this morning, so I know those of you in the N Club have been wondering where those kits are. And I had said I'd get them out by the end of the month, and I did get the international ones out on March 31st, and then we shipped all of the domestic ones today. I have not set the unboxing, but you will be getting an email from me and Club members with all of those details. Knit for Food is taking up a lot of brain space right now, understandably. So very excited to be knitting that with all of you. Also off my needles is the retreat I did for, sorry, the design I did for Patty Lyon's retreat, and I showed you guys some sneak peeks of that in the last live, and that is in testing right now, and testing is going very, very well. Also, I look a little bit like a crazy knitting lady or a crazy Knit for Food lady because I took off the hat. I was wearing my Knit for Food hat too, which is also off my needles. But I just looked kind of insane. Like there was just a little bit too much Knit for Food happening on me. So I'm not wearing my hat right now. I'll put it on later if I get chilly. But I finished a buble and I used a sock blank. I think I showed you that sock blank like a month or two ago that I got at Rhinebeck from Fiber MacGyver. And I knit a buble in the Knit for Food colors, and I love wearing it. I am wearing a Cordelia for my eyeglasses when I'm ready to show you some knitting in a tiny bit for my eyeglass cord. And that is knit with Emma's yarn in Tealicious. And then I'm also just finished this. I took an extra kit that I had of Cordelia, and let me do overhead again so you can really see it. And I made one super duper long strand with all of the beads in the kit, alternating between the orangey rusty beads and the teal beads so that I could wrap them around my wrist all together and have both colors showing. And I'm really liking this as another way that you could make or wear Cordelia. So I actually see one little bead. Oh, that would be a cool thing to show you. If anybody notices that that happens right there where one bead pops out of place, you can actually just easily massage them back in. That takes 30 seconds. That was a little learning for you on my Cordelia. So if any of you wish that you had gotten the March Lola's Choice kit, I think I have 2 Cordelia kits left. It makes a lanyard, it makes an eyeglass cord, and it makes a bracelet. And you can choose 2 out of those 3 things. There's enough in there to make 2 of those 3 things. It's fun. It's got its own video. You can do it with an I-cord tool. You can do it with knitting needles. Super fun. It's a quickie because Lola loves a quickie. You know I had to say that. So that is also off the needles. And on the needles, let's see. Okay, so life is crazy penguin themed right now, which you're going to see as we start to look at trip photos. I'm obsessed. And I had this idea when I had yarn left over from making Pappy that I could make some toe-up larch peds that looked like a penguin. And so I did that. And so this one's done. It's worked from the toe up instead of the cuff down like the original larch ped. And it's lined with the orange right there. I use Lola's 2-timing technique for the cuff. I've got a few people testing this pattern right now. I do think that tomorrow in the Ravelry group, I'm going to post a quick test for a few people for the other sizes just to make sure that a few more of them are covered. I feel pretty confident about this pattern because I've written a lot of toe up patterns and I know the larch ped pattern very well. So isn't that cute? It's like a penguin, but it's a sock and they fit so freaking well. I love my toe up formula that I've used for many socks. I'm wearing my Laxo socks right now is a formula that fits me really well. And I think a lot of you have found that my toe up socks fit you too as well too, also fit you. And these guys do have that like arch shaping here. If I do that right here, you can see the arch shaping right there. And so fun. I really I was trying to have them done for when I saw penguins, but it didn't really work out. They were still on the needles, but good times. And the second one are halfway done. I've got it over here on the needles, but it's too dark to knit and chat with you guys. I'm not so good at knitting and chatting during lives. I get distracted easily. Also on my needles, and might be admitting defeat with this soon. I am not sure. I am knitting a lighter weight version of Lolancha with little short sleeves. So Lolancha is like one of my most worn yoke sweater designs that I wear a lot. And I decided that when I was in Spain that I really wanted to do like a lighter weight summer version of it because it was like in an Aran weight woolly yarn. So this is Lolanchita right here. And I had to rip back the yoke because it was doing this kind of poofy thing at the sleeves. And I'm hoping that I finished it, but I am knitting it in Barocco Remix Light, which is a great summer weight yarn, which is 30% nylon, 27% cotton, 24% acrylic, 10% silk, and 9% linen. And I love it and I adore the fabric that it's making, but it is not the easiest yarn on your hands because it has no elasticity. So I was hoping I could do like 9 rounds a day and get it in time for Saturday. And I think I only got 8 rounds done yesterday, and I'm getting close to I guess I'm into the 3rd yoke part. So I think maybe I only have 30 rounds to go, but we'll see. I might be knitting on it during the knit-a-thon. That might be what's happening because then it'll really get done because there's a lot of knitting time we all have on Saturday and we all have lots of plans for that knitting time. So that is also on my needles. I have another knit for food hat that I just got yarn for today. I got some Gigi Loves Orange yarn to do one where all the ones I've done so far are blue on the bottom and orange on the top. And I'm going to go the other way around with this one. And towards the end of this live, I'm going to show you how to use my trick for doing tubular ribbing. A tubular cast on with Stitch Saver to do it with 2x2 ribbing and then to join that into the round. So we'll be doing that in just a little bit. So that is all on my needles. And then what else is on my needles? I have the yarn for the next end club here. So that's going to go in my needles soon. I have a good idea for that. And then I'm still kind of deciding what I want to do for July Lola. I have a few ideas percolating up here. So that is all happening as well. I think that's everything. That's not a lot on my needles right now because I just got some big projects off of there and I'm, I'm not ready for math right now. So just kind of try to finish a few things up. So the next thing that I want to talk about is knit for food. And I know many of you know what knit for food is, right? Knit for Food is a 12-hour knitting marathon that raises funds for hunger and food insecurity. 100% of the funds that we raise are split equally between 4 organizations: Meals on Wheels, World Central Kitchen, No Kid Hungry, and Feeding America. And I know many of us have not been listening to the news that much, but we're all listening a little bit. And you have all probably heard that many of those programs are going to be affected by budget cuts. And this is where I am so conflicted because I have kept Knit for Food a non-political action. Just like we all believe that people have the right to be fed and that hungry people should have access to good, nutritious food. And I think we can all agree on that wherever we land. But our current administration is making very quick decisions that I have to believe somewhere in me that they don't realize the ramifications of some of those decisions. So I got an email today from Meals on Wheels saying, and I'm just going to read aloud to you some of what this email said. It says, yesterday, the federal government made changes and cuts to HHS. That is the Department of Health and Human Services, the agency responsible for getting vital services to older Americans, including Meals on Wheels. The risk? A dangerous disruption in how funding gets distributed, meals get delivered, and seniors get the help they need to stay healthy at home. So Meals on Wheels is asking that everyone use their voices and reach out to their senators and call at least 3 people in Washington and tell them that you are concerned about these budget cuts and changes. Changes is the word they used in the email. I'll post that in the Knit for Food Facebook group for anybody that wants to make phone calls about that. It is concerning. I see some things getting deleted in the chat. Thank you, Susie. I think we're just going to trust that we are all kind and we are here for each other and we want people to not suffer. And that is why we're doing this work. It's very important right now. Let's go ahead and look at how much money we've raised. So I've got a live browser right here. And I think what I'm going to do is ask that you all in the chat make sure that any commentary that you're making stays like kind and strong and from a caring place. I am also so proud to be part of this effort, incredibly proud. And the work that we are all doing together So strong. So we have raised already $335,769. So that's going to get split between the four organizations. One of the things that makes Knit for Food incredibly unique is that 100% of the funds we raise gets donated. So any overhead that Knit for Food has, I just swallow as part of Nelkin Designs. It's easy to do. It's not a lot of money. The money that we raise from selling merch always just covers like Zoom and graphic design. But we got tons of those coasters made this year, and I sent them out to all the public meetups. That's just like me doing some extra shipping. Happy to do it. So you can know that all of the work that you're doing as part of Knit for Food and all of the funds that you're raising are helping those four organizations. So I just want to refresh because you can see the number changes every time I refresh. And I'm going to come back to this again at the end of the live so we can see. And don't worry, I will make that letter shareable. Lisa, I would suggest that everybody, if you want to hear directly, oh, sorry, I'm not talking into the camera. Forgot. I would suggest that everybody sign up from newsletters from those four organizations because they've really been sending out actions and they let you know what they're doing. World Central Kitchen, Meals on Wheels, No Kid Hungry, Feeding America. They've all been sending out really important emails lately, letting people know the help that they need to continue doing the work that they do. So, Knit for Food. I'm ready for Saturday. Are you? Going to be the biggest year yet. Should we do travel photos or yarn? I could go either way. I think it makes sense to do travel photos and then yarn because you'll like see the yarn, know the places I went to and then see that yarn. So I'm jumping right in with photos. Travel. We're all so excited. So there's many of you here who were on this cruise with me. So I can tell you that as I started to go through photos of this cruise, we started in Argentina, a group of 50 of us, and we went around the southern tip of South America and ended up in Santiago, Chile. So the first night, a big group of us went to see tango in Buenos Aires, because how could you not do that? And it was quite dramatic and fun. And the stakes were very large, which is when people asked me, like, if I like Buenos Aires, I think the first thing I said is the stakes were very large. One of the things that we did on our first day after going to tango the night before was to go meet with Huanaco Yarn. That's Cecilia from Huanaco Yarn in the Yarn District in Buenos Aires. So we did like a city tour and then we ended up in the Yarn District and we got to hear from Cecilia about her absolutely gorgeous yarns that are made with wool from Patagonia. And I used Cecilia's yarn for the cruise design, which I will show to you after we go through all of these photos. And everybody got to pick out yarn for the design when they were at the shop, which was really fun. Her yarns are absolutely gorgeous. They're all naturally dyed. They are milled outside of Buenos Aires, like in kind of like outside of the main city, but in the kind of suburbs of Buenos Aires. All the wool is from Patagonia. It's gorgeous, soft, scrumptious merino wool. And you might run into it a little bit, but not often. You can purchase it online and she's absolutely lovely. It's not, things come from Buenos Aires very, very quickly. Then I went walking around the yarn district for a little while. It was like 100 degrees when we were in Buenos Aires, like so hot. So that's the other thing I'll say. It was very hot. And we went to a shop called Chinchirle, and I met this absolute gem of a human, Ernesto. And Ernesto was showing me some of his designs. And Ernesto's really into combining crochet and knitting. So he used these like really fun kind of plastic star beads in like a crochet panel, and then that's garter stitch underneath it. I'm really inspired by like what could happen with crochet and knitting together. And then his coworker was wearing this amazing skirt, and I took pictures of her bum. Sorry to say that. Because she was wearing this skirt that she crocheted that had these like really beautiful squares that then she like picked up around and went up with shaping for her hips and then down for the body of the skirt. It was so beautiful. And then off to the right, that was a sample that Ernesto was working on that was crocheted, and then he picked up along the chain and then did ribbing coming down. But he used like two different weights of yarn in the crochet, which I also was like, okay, I want to marry that. That's amazing. And then Ernesto was so fun that he took us upstairs to like his favorite place in the world, which was where all of the yarn lived. And we got to have a really fun tour of the yarn room. If any of you were on Instagram or Facebook today, I posted like a 2-minute video that had just video clips from the trip. And there's a good video clip of us walking through that yarn room. So you can really get like the feel of what it was like up there. It was very hot and there were a lot of yarn fumes. It was very exciting. Let me see if I go back. Yeah, gotta end up where I want to be. Then we had a quick shopping trip at Hohe & Co, where everybody, not everybody, but almost everybody got bags. And that was a very fun, fast, frenetic. You can almost tell what it was like in there because it wasn't a huge space and we were cramming it and looking at gorgeous leather bags. Hohe, unfortunately, was in the States when we were there, so we didn't get to see her. This was just a painting I saw when I was walking around in Buenos Aires that I absolutely loved. And we had a really fun time doing a city tour, getting to learn about the history of Buenos Aires and Argentina. And then we took a photo of everybody with the women's bridge behind us. We were supposed to go walk out on the bridge, but as I said, it was 100 degrees and we were all melting and everybody was ready to get back to the air conditioning and the boat. So we kind of cut our day a teeny tiny bit short at the end just to take care of ourselves. And then we had a beautiful sunset. And the next day we headed over to Montevideo on the boat to go to Manos del Uruguay. And Manos del Uruguay, interestingly, has many different locations. And Manos del Uruguay was born in 1968 with the purpose of giving jobs to artisan women who live in rural Uruguay. Since then, we are a not-for-profit organization which makes a product line that is sustainable, ethical, beautiful, natural, and fair trade. And what I learned about Manos del Uruguay is that they do so much more than yarn. I always thought they were like a yarn company. They do yarn, they do a lot of ready to wear. So they do a lot of machine knitting and hand knitting and crochet for high-end luxury lines like Ralph Lauren and Stella McCartney. So I didn't get to go over to the workshop. I stayed at the outlet to help people choose yarn for the other cruise design. But people went over to the workshop and I think that was really interesting. And they got to go through some spaces where they weren't allowed to take photos because things were being made that were private label. And I want to learn more about what they do. I would love to. I've heard that they do a tour where you can like go out to the villages and meet with the craftswomen. And it's like a 6 or 7 day tour. And I would love to see more of Uruguay. I really liked it. But one thing I got from the outlet shop was this. It's a machine knit lace dress that I've been wearing with like a vest over the top. And I love it so much. And a little birdie told me that it was a Stella McCartney sample that like didn't work out. Or like maybe they were trying a design. It's my favorite piece of clothing ever. My daughter has already told me that she wants to steal it. I think I got it for $30 US. So that was a good score. I also got like a long wool kind of Gansey style skirt that's brown that I guess if we have fifth winter, I'll wear it. Maybe, but it's just very fall-y. I think I'll be saving that skirt for fall. I absolutely love it. The dress has me very inspired about making a beach cover up, which we talked about in the last live. That obsession has not gone anywhere. It's still happening up here. Let's go back to photos. So Manistel, Uruguay, we went to the outlet. We learned all about what they do. We bought yarn. We bought a lot of yarn. They had a room upstairs that was full of yarn that was like, I don't even know, $5 a skein or something. And then this was all of the like the good yarn, or the yarn that was like colors that were correct, or labeled correctly. And it was beautiful. I was very happy to get to shop there. I I'm honestly not sure if this photo is of Montevideo or Buenos Aires, because I also got photos from everybody on the cruise and not all of them. I tried to get these in order. So it's one of those two cities, and one of you is going to pop into the comments and tell me if I'm right or wrong. I just thought it was really beautiful from the boat. I think it was from the boat as we were leaving. Oh, we left Buenos Aires really late. So this is from the boat leaving Buenos Aires, because there was a boat stuck in the river for a while. And then here we are the next morning. Sunrise. I think that morning the sea was still calm, and I did some yoga on my porch. That was beautiful. I just wanted to give you a glimpse of what it looks like when we're like doing classes and learning on the boat. So here I am teaching on the first day. I think I was teaching the lanyard that everybody made. You can see what the classroom looked like on the right, and on the left you can see that there were just knitters everywhere. Izzy was winding yarn up in the crow's nest on the 10th floor at one point, and people kept coming over to chat with her. It was so funny. Here's the classroom with everybody paying attention and learning. They were very well behaved during class, unlike the first cruise I ever did that I had to like keep telling everybody to be quiet so I could teach. Um, and then I would say maybe the highlight of this trip is when we got to go to the Falkland Islands. So here we all are, and many other people on the cruise too, in the auditorium waiting to go get on the tenders to go into Stanley, to go on our trip to the Bluff Cove Penguin place. And this isn't the best photo, but you can kind of see from Audrey holding on to the person in front of her. I believe that's Audrey. Maybe that's not Audrey. Audrey, I don't think that's you actually. The tender that we got onto, the seas were rough when we were in Falkland, and we all thought that like maybe we weren't going to get off the boat, and we all wanted to go there so badly, and the seas were rough. And so the tender would like, the tenders are the little lifeboats that like when the port isn't big enough, they moor anchor the boat out in the bay a little bit, and then you take smaller boats into the port. Sorry, in case any of you don't know that. So the seas were so rough that the tender was like on a wave going away from the boat, and then on a wave it would come back towards the boat, and then the guys would help you like jump onto the tender, and then they'd go to the next person. And we were all looking at each other like, this is an adventure. We're having an adventure now. It was super fun. And then we made it to Bluff Cove. It's a rookery, and these are wild penguins that come to a beach at Bluff Cove. They are also a merino and Rambouillet and Polworth sheep farm. So they had incredible yarns in their gift shop. But the first bunch of time that we were there, we were all just oogling the penguins, and I was introducing Pappy to his people. These are king penguins, and we were extra lucky in that they both had chicks, both the king penguins and the Gentoo penguins. And the Gentoo penguins are much smaller. I just saw Audrey said that that was her. That's funny. They're much smaller than the king penguins, and they were all molting. So they were like dirty little penguins. They were amazing. We loved them so much. Obsessed with penguins. Here they are, more molting. Again, if you go watch that video that I posted, you'll see kind of their feathers coming off of them, kind of flying off of their bodies. These are some of the king penguins, and to the penguin all the way on the right-hand side, if you look down, you can see one of his little chonky little chicks right there. He almost looks like a rock. So cute. Here's some more of them. They were adorable. They kept falling asleep and then like waking up again. I could have stayed with them forever. You can see more of the chicks in this photo, and the king penguin all the way in the back. You can see he's kind of getting ready to feed his chick right there. You can see the chick has its like mouth open. I was so happy I got these photos, and he's just feeding him right there by regurgitating up some food. By the way, that's how that's done. Watch March of the Penguins again if you haven't watched it lately. So sweet. There's the little chicks. This photo was from Anne, and look how chunky they are. I love them. Love them. There were also birds. These are a goose. If Andrea Fox is on, she will tell me exactly what kind of Falkland Island goose they are. But one of the things the Falkland Islands is known for is birds that you cannot see anywhere else except maybe Antarctica. They have some really unique species in the Falkland Islands. This is everybody in line buying all of the gift shop's yarn. We were all pretty wet and pretty cold and buying yarn and very happy, like penguins and yarn. It was like knitters. Okay, here's what I want to tell you about the Falkland Islands. To me, the Falkland Islands are like if Shetland had penguins, because there's like yarn and there's sheep everywhere. There's great yarn. It's very British, the Falkland Islands. We can talk about the history in a second. But there's also penguins. So it's like, it was heaven, literal heaven. And it's not easy to get to. I'm so glad that we got to go. Sorry, that was an aside. Okay, and then we'll go. This was a felted piece of art that the shop had done, kind of like of their farm and of the shops. I absolutely loved it. Should have gotten some close-ups. They fed us all really yummy cakes and cookies and tea, which we all needed. And then I took a very rainy walk because I didn't want to leave the Falkland Islands until the last possible minute. And on this walk, I discovered that my waterproof clothing is not waterproof, so that's going to get upgraded. It was really rainy, but like so worth it to just be soaking it in as long as possible. And those birds didn't seem that troubled by the rain. And then, oh, this is a cocktail we made called the Dirty Little Penguin. And the Dirty Little Penguin is basically, we're still working on tweaking the Dirty Little Penguin a little bit. It's basically an espresso martini, which seemed to be like the drink everybody was having on the boat, but with some Grand Marnier instead of Kahlua. And we think it needs like some Frangelico or something. So it's like, I think it should look like the cold brew and then like a layer of sweet cream and then like some Grand Marnier and a little Frangelico in with the cold brew and then like some orange peel on top. So we are still working on the Dirty Little Penguin, but we took one for the team here, me and Veronique and Chris, and got to try it out. We had a really fun class where we worked on some design ideas with each other and all had to like work in teams and present ideas. It was really fun. It was a great way to get to know each other and also like exercise our creative brains. This is one of our group photos that we tried to take, and it wasn't raining, and we had these great Chilean fjords behind us, and it started raining the moment we got out there, so we took the photo very quickly. It's a bit dark, and then we ended up with all of these like chaises in the way, so not my favorite group photo, but it just gives you an idea of like my whole gig with cruising is I want to cruise places that are really hard to like drive to or get to. And this cruise was like all of the places we went, you kind of have to like fly to them separately. You couldn't have like done it on a driving tour very easily. And it was extraordinary. I had no idea how extraordinary it was going to be. Let's go back to photos. There's group. And then we get to go to the second set. This was a sunrise, and I believe that this sunrise was as we were coming into Punta Arena. No, maybe, sorry. Maybe it was coming into Ushuaia, this photo. I'm not totally sure, but it was an absolutely gorgeous sunrise. I went on a boat canoe, like inflatable canoe trip with Veronique's husband, Mike, was on it as well. This was the other group in the boat. And we did an all-day boat trip around Tierra del Fuego National Park and did some hiking. It was really super fun. There were red foxes there. Totally amazing. There, this is just a view from the boat. It was really beautiful there, like breathtakingly. These photos do not do the colors justice. There were like 180 shades of green, but different than the ones that Ireland has because they were very licheny and like had more like sandy yellow in them. Oh my, it was breathtaking. We also went to the point where Route 3 ends in Tierra del Fuego. So there is like an iconic route that goes from Tierra del Fuego in Argentina all the way up to Alaska. And some people drive that whole route through South America, through Central America, through Mexico, through the United States, through the Canada, and to Alaska. So we were at the terminating point on one end of that, which was pretty cool. This is a photo of this tiny little fungus that you can eat, that little white dot. I forget its name, but when we went on our hike, you can just see that there was like lichen growing on everything, and it was the most luminous, gorgeous, pale, pale green color. Here were some wild horses that were at the park that we were hiking through. They were beauties. I wanted to snuggle them, but I knew not to. I was a good girl. And then we went to another spot for a hike, and I am gonna have to go back here and do this whole hike. It's about like a 3.5 or 4 hour hike around this lake. And I just ran in a bit to kind of get to experience it. And again, these photos do not do the colors justice. It's like this really glacial, kind of icy green rock that has like layers of quartz throughout it. I mean, talk about rocks and water. Amazing. Some people, while I was on my canoe trip hiking thing, other people got to go on this boat trip where they went around this tiny little island that had a lighthouse on it. And they got so lucky and got to see penguins and sea lions together. I'm very jealous of this. Like, how cool is that? Look at that little guy. Oh my gosh, he's adorable. And after we left Ushuaia, we cruised down the I guess it's called the Glacier Alley, and it's the Beagle and Cockburn channels. I think you say Cockburn. Lola wants to know if you say Cockburn or if it's like Coburn, like Bruce Coburn, and I'm saying that wrong and laughing on the inside and outside. So get back to me on that. Okay, going back to the photos. So going through Glacier Alley, we got to see, I think, 6 glaciers total, but you can really get an idea of the size of these glaciers. This photo is really interesting because you can actually see the water melting from the underside of that glacier. And the glacier goes back quite far. You can't see how far it goes back. This is just where it kind of terminates at the water's edge. Oh, I did a close-up of that so you could really see the water coming down. Sorry, I knew I did that. Everybody, this is Fiona taking a picture of her Pappy, photo of Pappy with the glacier behind him. Pretty awesome. This is coming into, I believe, Punta Arenas. Trying not to have this take forever. And Punta Arenas, the seas were very rough, and I was supposed to go see more penguins on an island, and that tour was canceled. So I just made Anne go on a very long walk with me, and I apologize again, Anne, about your blisters. I'm packing band-aids from now on. That's called what it looks like to go for a walk with Lola. When she's like, we'll just go here and then we'll go there and then we'll go there, and hey, do you want to check this out? We walked. It was very good for us. It's so good to get off the boat and like get a good walk in. It was fun to just wander around town. I did a little shopping. I got Bella a grass basket. I don't know if she's watching now. She knows that. From an artisan. These were all made out of fresh grass, so I think they're gonna like turn brown over time, but I really loved them. There were some really cool murals. I really loved like the shape of the banisters. I don't know, I just get inspired by everything. We went to the cemetery in Punta Arenas, which was pretty beautiful, quite interesting. Enjoyed that history lesson. more photos that people took of their pappy. I forget if Mona took this picture, but she found some stairs that had all these like granny squares on them, and so Pappy had to pose. Um, that Friday night that we were at sea, there was a full lunar eclipse. And this is known as like, I think it's known as the ruby moon or the strawberry moon. I forget which one. And it was happening at like 4 o'clock, and I woke up too early because I was so excited. So I was upstairs trying to see it at like 3:20, and then I went and got some tea, and like at 3:50 or 3:55, it was super cloudy and I could hardly see the moon, and I gave up and I went to sleep. And then Sherry's got it at like 4:05 or 4:08. She actually got the full lunar eclipse, which made me jealous, but glad that she got it. Pretty cool. And then we had a cruising day where we got to go to the glacier Pio Once, or it's otherwise known as the Bruggen Glacier. And it is the largest glacier in the southern hemisphere that is not on Antarctica. And it was so cool. And a bunch of people went up early, like Winnell and Izzy and Karen went up to the crow's nest pretty early in the morning at like 6:30 or 7 to stake out a spot so they could see it from up there and knit and drink coffee. And I joined them, and we had a lovely long morning. And every so often I would go outside and take photos, but it was just like the most breathtaking thing to see while we were knitting and learning about the glacier. There was a great guide who was on the loudspeakers, kind of telling you everything, giving you history, explaining glacier behavior. And we got look how cool those colors are. Look at those striations. We got I guess lucky. I don't know if you call it lucky, but the glacier calved right when we were there, so you can see kind of some flotsam. And oh, for those of you who were on the Alaska cruise, we got to see some Burgee bits in action. It was very exciting. Every time we saw a whale, we said blowhole. So if you were on my Alaska cruise with me, you were with us in spirit on this one. Lots of Burgee bits, which are what those ice bits are called when they fall off of a glacier. There's a little close up. You can see them a little tiny bit better there. It was just breathtaking. Everything about this trip. And then the next stop that people made was to Puerto Montt. And on this day, I did not join everybody on this tour because I needed to stay in bed all day and sleep, which is how I take care of myself when I need to do that. So y'all shared some photos with me so you could see everybody. I think you can see the volcano behind them in the distance. I know there was a volcano and there was a waterfall, and sounded like a pretty spectacular day. Everybody having fun. We also did some late night piano barring on this cruise, which I've not done before. Some singing and some dancing. It was fun. It was really fun to kind of get out with everybody and enjoy. This photo makes me laugh so much because these two were up to no good. And oh, I haven't told you the part about this cruise that was hard was the 100-mile-per-hour wind and 21-foot waves when we were going from Falkland Islands over to the Chilean forts. I totally forgot about that. So we had a lot of rough seas, which helps explain this photo because these two lovely ladies, I think it's Peggy and Carol. Oh, you're gonna hate me forever that I'm getting that wrong. I'm so sorry. They wanted to get glasses of wine to bring to knit night, but the boat was so rocky that they talked their bartender into helping them out and bringing their glasses of wine, and he had to hold on to them so they didn't fall down, which was hysterical. Hysterical. Okay, what else do we have here? Finally, towards the last night of the cruise, I wanted to take a photo of all of the penguins that people had been working on or knitting. You can see there's a flat pappy off to the right hand side. He didn't quite get finished in time, but I was like, he gets to be in the photo even if he's a flat pappy. And you can see they're in various stages of dress. Like some of them don't have feet yet, some of them already have their cowls, some are hatted, no feet. Pretty fun to see them in all their different phases. We had a hard time taking photos of them, so we took them all over the boat and kept trying in different places. I think this is one of my favorite, up in the crow's nest, everybody. They're looking quite jaunty and happy to be hanging out on a cruise for 2 weeks. Finally, here's some photos of our very last day. We did this kind of long tour because most people's flights didn't leave till after 9 at night. So we went to some wineries outside of Santiago and had some wine at 10 a.m., did some dancing. If you watch that video, you'll see some of my slick dance moves at the end right there. We got to taste grapes, which was very interesting. We got to taste a lot of different varietals of wine grapes, which I've never tasted. And we were lucky in that we were there like right at harvest season in Chile. So I noticed right now when I went to get fruit the other day that a lot of the fruit is from Chile because it's summer down there, like end of summer, beginning of fall, when everything is ripe. So Chilean grapes are really good right now. And then here is all of us when we had that failed group picture. We tried one more time. And these guys, and when I show you the goodie bag, you will understand their name. They have made a Knit for Food team called the Dirty Penguins. And last I looked, they were like number 9 on the team list for teams that have raised the most money. And they just got going. So a lot of people from the group decided to start their own Knit for Food team, which is awesome. They're called the Dirty Penguins. Support them if you haven't supported anybody in Knit for Food yet. They're kicking ass, as they say. Am I allowed to say that? Is YouTube gonna take me down? That was our cruise to South America, and now I want to show you the 2 designs that I designed. This is going to be the longest live ever because we haven't even gotten to yarn yet. I knew it was going to be a chunky one. So much to tell you. This is the cowl that I designed for the cruise. I was determined to design something for the cruise that, let me actually get to that would be easy for people to start and finish on the cruise. And those of you who have traveled with me before know that sometimes I get so concerned with teaching you so much in a tiny little pattern that I overdo it, and you need to be like in a, your own room with no distractions. But the Ceci cowl, and I named it Ceci because everywhere we went on this cruise, there was somebody named Ceci. The Ceci cowl was really easy for people. There were some newer knitters on this group, and they were able to learn how to do the cast on, learn how to do the stitch. If I hold this stitch underneath the camera, you will recognize the same stitch that I used in hay bale, which is the same stitch that I used in rollin' the hay. But I finally figured out how to put beads in between those little rolls in the hay. And I knit this yarn in 2 colors of naturally dyed Guanaco single ply merino. And it is like so soft and yummy. And you can see that there's beads on the top and the bottom. If I go back to this photo, here's a photo of me wearing it so you get an idea of like what the size is. It's designed to fit close to the neck, and you are not going to see this pattern until Caltober. So sometimes I release patterns right away after a trip, and sometimes I say to myself, you're going to need cowl patterns in October. You have plenty of patterns to release right now. It is not cowl season. So everybody on the cruise, I basically had like 50 testers. Lots of them finished their cowls on the cruise. And you will see that pattern come out in October. And I'm going to talk to Ceci and see if I can do some kits with her, like sell some kits in my shop and match them with beads for you all, because this yarn is really special and hard to get and a really, really good memory of our trip. and something really unique from the place. I'm so glad you guys like it. Some of you might remember that I showed a photo back during New Year's of me working on a swatch, and that was the swatch for Ceci Cowl. I love this little cowl too. I'm so glad you do too, and you will see her again in October. So this is me doing the like Men in Black erase your minds maneuver. Should I do that, Pappy? I don't know if that's gonna work. Oh, poor guy. I just totally squashed him. Sorry, little bear. Okay, I'm back. So that is the first design I did for the cruise. The second design I did for the cruise is called Ceci Tea. And it is a really simple raglan tee, very similar to the shaping of bling tea, but it's got some really sweet details that make it unique. One of the details is this tiny little Ceci stitch up at the top of the neckline. And then the other little detail is that the hems have that same contrast color. So the hems are a turned hem. You've got that room for your hips with that split hem right there. It's just like a really sweet, really classy, kind of classic little tee without being too fussy. And it's unlike me to do something so simple, but I know, and I think many of you have discovered that bling tee is a very wearable sweater. And so I wanted to kind of play with that shape a little bit more and do something else with it. And that is how Ceci Tee was born. And Ceci Tee is knit in two colors of Manos del Uruguay Serena. And Serena is let's see if I can remember, it's 60% baby alpaca and 40% Pima cotton. It's super soft and yummy. I absolutely adore it. I think that you are going to love knitting with it too if you've never knit with Serena before. And this pattern is being tested right now by everybody on the cruise who wanted to. Not everybody's doing the test, and that is fine. And it will be released, I think, mid-May. I think that's the goal. So you'll be able to knit it and have it for summer and fall. So that is the goal for Ceci Tee. I see people like chatting about like different shapes, thoughts, bling tee. Sorry, that cough is like still lingering. So those are the two designs that I did for the cruise. And then I think it's time to talk about yarn. And so I want to show yarn that I already showed you the Guanaco yarn that we got when we were at Budatex. And then I got some yarns when I was at Chinchirle with Ernesto. He actually wouldn't let me pay for them. So I got some cotton yarn. I don't think it's the yarn for the bathing suit cover up. I thought that it might be. It would make a really nice Olalola, actually, like a really nice Olalola. So I'm thinking about it for that. And I started swatching it to see in the Olalola stitch. It's not quite as soft as I want it to be. It's a cotton, but I don't think that it's a mercerized cotton. So it's a little bit stiff and hard. And I was hoping it would like kind of soften up with like wear or scrunching it around, but I'm just not sure it's the cotton that I want to make a bathing suit cover up out of. But I love this color, and it's a very good color on me in the summer. And I know I could make a white cover up, but I know I'm going to spill my rum punch on it. So we'll see about that. But, you know, I'm really thinking about this beach cover up. The other thing that I got at Chinchirle, which I'm very excited about, is some fiber. I've been wanting to play more with thrumming. And I have some ideas for some patterns that would be unique to me that use thrumming. I think maybe even a future Lola's Choice kit, like a wintertime Lola's Choice kit. And Chinchirle had really nice fleece that was packaged up in these small amounts. And I kept being like, do you sell to the States? Can I buy 600 of those? And I do not believe that they do. So that's not going to be a choice for me, but got my mind going trying to find some like affordable fleece for thrumming. And I got 2 of these to play with because I want to make new thrum mittens for sure next winter, even if Lola doesn't do anything. And then when we went to Manos del Uruguay. Now I'm starting to get into the yarns that you might be getting if you are a winner of the first quarter knit along. So the first quarter knit along March prizes for the weekly winners were yarn that I was purchasing. And what I'm going to do tomorrow is just package up yarn, wrap up yarn, slap your labels on there. You're not going to know which skein of yarn you're getting, but I wanted to get to talk about them all first before I sent them out. So this yarn is from Manos del Uruguay, and both of these skeins are merino, and merino is their 100% merino wool single ply lace weight, and I am just going to put it under the overhead so you can appreciate them. They are both gorgeous. These are both one-of-a-kind skeins. So if I unwrap one, you can really get an idea of what the color is doing. So upstairs in the kind of like budget yarn section, they had samples when they were like working on new colors or playing around with dye. And these two in particular really spoke to me. They could be knit off of each other and be something gorgeous, but they're definitely going to be prizes. Let me wrap this back up for you. Wrapping. See if I did that well. Okay. Learned how to do that when I worked at Shaper Yarn. Still pretty good at it. Should show you all how to do that one day, huh? The other yarn that I got at Manos, I think I just ripped the tag off because I'm slick like that. I think this yarn is going to be for me. And this yarn is Marla, which is a new yarn of theirs, which is kind of like a dyed in the wool and then spun yarn. And it's 100% superwash merino. It's like a sport, more like a sport than a DK. Let me look at that. It's a DK weight, definitely DK weight. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but I got like 4 or 5 skeins of it. So it's going to be something. It wants to have a solid held along with it. But I really love it. And I know it's my colors. See? Actually, come to think of it, the use your words, Laura. The May Lola's Choice pattern is one of those patterns that you can make in like 100 different yarns. And one of those would be great in this if I have some left over. I'm going to just throw these back in there. Okay, so that is Argentinian yarn and yarn from Uruguay. Let's go to the Falkland Islands, shall we? Because I went shopping there. From the Falkland Islands, not at Bluff Cove, but when I was walking around Stanley, I found some yarn from Ruralanas, and this is 100% merino, Falkland Islands merino. It's this really beautiful kind of burgundy color, and it tells the story of the Falkland Islands wool. And I believe it is sent to to Britain, to the UK to be milled because they don't have a mill on the Falkland Islands. So there's a lot of yarns actually that come out of Britain that use Falkland Islands wool. There's also Block Island, the yarn company on Block Island, whose name I'm blanking on, but someone in the chat is going to help me out with that. They're no longer there. They used to use Falkland Islands merino, really, really gorgeous, long staples, soft merino. This yarn is stunning. I also got 2 skeins of this yarn, and I believe that this is Falkland Islands merino and like silk or bamboo. And I think this would make a really, really yummy top. In fact, I feel like I could make a sessy tea out of it that would be scrumptious. So I might save this for me. We'll see. I got 2 skeins of this. I don't typically knit in yarns that you all can't get. So what ends up happening is yarns like that end up going into my retirement knitting bin. And my retirement knitting bin is very, very full of yarn. This yarn is gorgeous. Like you can tell it's just going to make this like drapey, woolly, yummy top, like in a little lace. Can't even. I also got from Bluff, let me find the card. This ball right here is a hand-dyed DK weight Falkland merino that was dyed at the farm, probably when they're not in tourist season, like in wintertime, they're doing dyeing of all of their wool. So I got this where we saw the penguins. Really beautiful. The camera's not doing these greens justice. Really. Yes, Northlight Fibers. Good job, Aaron. Takes a village. This other skein of yarn I got, it is not as blown out if I show it right here. It is much paler than it is showing up right now. It's got these lovely kind of greens and tans and lemons in it. And this one is a fingering weight 4-ply. It's 100 grams, also from that same farm, merino. Really yummy and beautiful. What else and then for the first quarter knit along, there are 2 of you that are getting a special prize because you got chosen from all the people who finished projects in the first quarter Cal. And I chose 1 person from the Facebook group and 1 person from the Ravelry group. And both of you are going to be getting this very special bag that is sewn in the UK, but it is made with Bluff Cove tweed with wool that is 100% from those Bluff Cove sheep. And it's called the Falkland Seascape Tweed. So they went for this like tweed colors that very much looks like that farm, like so beautiful. I want to move there and help them with their sheep, even though I don't like chores. And it's lined with a waterproof lining, which is really, really nice. So the 2 people that are going to win these bags, I bought 2 of them. I'm really regretting not buying myself one as well. From the Ravelry group, Liluana, I think that's how you say it. Her real name is Anna. One with her larch peds. And let me see if I can find you a photo of Liluana's larch peds. Congratulations. I'll be in touch and I'll post in the Ravelry group and tag you so that you know. And then the other winner from the Facebook group is Julianne Youngren with an absolutely beautiful long sleeve Ola Lola that she had been knitting on for the last 6 months and finished up for the first quarter Cal. So congratulations to the 2 of you. Thank you to everybody for taking part in that knit along, the first quarter knit along. I know it looked a little bit different this year. I hope you had fun doing it. I always love seeing what is coming off of all of your needles when you are working on the first quarter knit along. I have the goodie bag to show you from the cruise, and at the end I'll announce who is winning this goodie bag. As you can guess, the goodie bag is very penguin themed, because how could it not be penguin themed? So one of the things in the goodie bag, and I'll just go to the overhead camera, is a kit to make Pappy, and I have a pattern for you for Pappy as well. There's also some hand sanitizer. This is my absolute favorite hand sanitizer. And I'll put it onto, like, I have an Amazon page with things that I can only find on Amazon and I can't find locally anywhere else. But what I love about this hand sanitizer is that it's small and it can like fit in the front pocket of a purse or like in your pocket of your jacket if you need to. And you just press down on the top to get the spray out. It works really, really well. I guess I didn't use it enough since I did get a little sick by the end of the cruise. Also, a little light votive. I give these to everybody on every trip I ever do, because if you need to have a little light in your room to find your way to the bathroom at night without waking up your roommate, it is very handy to not have to go grab your phone, but just grab a little votive. Also, a bespoke penguin Cordelia lanyard. So penguin themed beads and yarn and the clasp. And I know that this winner already has that pattern, so she already has that pattern for that. Otherwise, I'd be including that. And then finally, 2 end stoppers, which potentially are the cutest end stoppers. These go on your knitting needles to keep your stitches from falling off your needles. I think they're the cutest end stoppers ever, and I say that every time I find a new end stopper. And a penguin stitch marker from Wee Ones, and I've been getting different stitch markers from Wee Ones for quite a while now. So Pretty cute, right? That's the goodie bag right there. Oh, and then everybody got a dirty little penguin because we got these for name tags and they did not work out very well. They were really dirty, one, I think like whatever varnish the company used, and two, couldn't really fit your name that way. So I guess you could be sleeping and you'd do it that way, but I realized our knitting was going to get like caught on all of his appendages. So, you know, I try, but sometimes there's Etsy fails where you like think you know what you're buying and then it comes and you're like, oh yeah, no, not that. So that was the goodie bag from the cruise. And that will be one when we get to the winner of the last live at the very end of this live. Let me make sure I'm going through. I like to talk about future travel when I finish talking about past travel. So my trip to Spain in November has one spot left. If anybody has been hesitating signing up, I do have one or two people that are on the wait list that couldn't commit, but there is technically one spot open. So if you want to travel with me and my good friend Lola in November, snag that last spot. I also just signed a contract to do a cruise next June. So I'm not like in charge of this cruise. So I get to be a little bit more on vacation, which is fun because when I run a cruise like I just did with the South America one, I'm busy and I'm working hard. This cruise that I am doing next June is also with Holland America. And it is starting in Reykjavik in Iceland and going to a few ports in Reykjavik and then going to a few ports in Scotland and then going, stopping in Rotterdam quickly and then visiting some Norwegian fjords. So like 4 or 5 stops in Norway, only one of which, Bergen, I've been to before. All of the other stops that it's doing are brand new. And I loved Norway when I got to go there last time. So very excited about that cruise. I will give you, I've already put a link to it actually on my workshop page. So if you just go to Nelkin Designs/workshops, that's where I'm always updating wherever I'm like teaching or doing stuff. So that is up there. And I think there's already pricing up there. But again, it's not through me, it's through Wild Onion Productions. And I will be co-teaching on that cruise with Marianella from Lyrical Knits. And we just got to meet on a Zoom the other day. She's awesome. I think we're going to have so much fun. And she and I just came up with this idea that we're going to do like a design class together where we like have people ask us questions and then like see how we answer things differently. And I think it'll be a fun way for people to get to know us and our design minds, but also for us to get to know each other. Pretty excited about that. So that cruise is next June 14th through 28th, for those of you wondering about that. Okay, we're getting to the end of the Zoom. So I wanted to show you how to do, what time are we at? We're just going to go late tonight. It is what it is. Hopefully Max isn't falling asleep waiting for me to be done. I wanted to show you how to start the Knit for Food hat with a tubular cast on that works for 2x2 ribbing. So I have a video on my channel that many of you've watched for a technique that I do with Stitch Saver and a tubular cast on where you provisionally cast onto Stitch Saver. And so I've got something already on my needles ready to do a hat where it is on the Stitch Saver, and I'll just kind of, as I get going and started, I'll talk to you about what's going on here. I don't do like a lot of teaching live on these, and it's pretty fun. So right now what is on my needles is the first thing that I have done is I have done this beginning setup on a needle that is one size larger. It's the needle that I use for the color work of the hat, not the needle that I use for the ribbing of the hat. So the Knit for Food hat, the ribbing is done on a US size 7 and the body is done on 8. So I did this cast on an 8 to help it be a little looser. And I provisionally cast it on half the number of stitches. So I'm making the medium size, which has 96 stitches total, which means I provisionally cast on 48 stitches onto my Stitch Saver. If you have never done that before, I do have a video showing you how to do that, so you can go ahead and watch that video. I just didn't want to do like every step right now. The next thing that I'm going to do is I have my smaller needle right here, and I am going to take all of those provisionally cast on stitches and slide them onto my smaller needle. So I'm taking everything that's on the stitch saver, which is 2mm hollow silicone tubing, and sliding that onto the stitch saver. And the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to hold these two needles parallel to each other. And let me kind of zoom in so we're a little bit closer. There we go. And with the bigger needle tip here, I'm going to actually, this is making me nervous. Let me grab a penguin and shove that right on there so we don't have to worry about those stitches coming off the other side. Holding these, the yarn out of the way, what I'm going to do is take 2 stitches from the front needle and put them onto that size 8 needle, and then 2 stitches from the back needle. But with the provisional cast on, you'll see that the second of those stitches, I need to rearrange it so that it's not twisted. And then 2 stitches from the front needle, and then 2 stitches from the back needle. And I'm going to go ahead and do this all the way across. So I'm doing 2 from the front, 2 from the back, all the way across. Doing 2 by 2 with this technique does make a cast on that is a little bit tighter than doing it with 1 by 1. So I wouldn't suggest this for the start of a top-down sock. And I'm not sure I would suggest it for the neckline of a sweater. Anything that you need to be really elastic to like go over your whole foot and heel or go over your head, this is going to potentially be a little bit too tight for that. But if you're using it on a hat, like in this case in particular, I'm going to work a deep ribbing and fold up the edge of that ribbing. That's not going to have to stretch over anything. I think it would be fine at the brim of any hat. I think it would be fine at a sleeve because your hand is not, is hopefully not as big as your head. While I am switching these stitches over to the needle to show you the next step, if any of you have any questions, this is a really good time for you to slap those into the chat. I did see that one person said that Penguola or Penguola, that's a hard one to say, Heather, is a good idea for a pattern name. Oh, I see somebody just suggested a good source of affordable fleece is R.H. Lindsay. Thank you for that. I'll have to remember to go back and write that down. Or Leslie, if you will send that to me, that would be really helpful. Thank you. So I'm looking for questions over there while I'm sliding the stitches. Of course, I was like, I'm going to do this on the whole hat instead of on a mini. It would have made it faster if I did the mini. But I'm the boss. Okay, I don't see any questions coming. I think I'm covering everything. I love it. There was a lot in this live, you guys. Am I going to be offering penguin kits? Oh my gosh, such a good question, Sherry. No, I'm not going to offer penguin kits, but definitely made me feel like one day there could be a penguin mystery knit along, and I know all the swag that would go in that kit. But Leading Men Fiber Arts does have kits for Ice to Meet You. So if you are wanting to make a penguin and you don't want to go find all of the yarn, Leading Men Fiber Arts, if you go over to their website, they do sell kits for him. So I just kind of made my own. That was a good question. I really only make kits for my designs, and since he's not my design, he's just really fun to knit. He was very fun to make that little cowl for. We were all having a good time. All right, we're almost there. You're very patient people. Hope you're all getting some knitting done tonight while we're doing all of this. if you're watching later, you could just scrub ahead to the next step. All right, so you can see them starting to come onto the needle there. I'm almost done. Nice. Jana's finishing her ferrules. Yeah, while I'm doing this, y'all say what you're knitting. I love that. Susie just finished her lake hug text today. Yay, Susie, I'm so excited to see it on you. That one's going to be take a little while to block and dry because it's thick. Aw, that's awesome, Mo. Mo said that she wore her bling tee at Nash Yarn Fest one day, and that Leading Man Fiber Arts was there and saw her and said something and said, say hi to me. Love those guys. Andy and Steve are awesome. Okay. So now I have transferred all of my stitches off of the size 8 and 7 needles, and I'm on one needle. And I'm going to already tell you, this feels like it looks like it's going to be, maybe it's not going to be that big a hat. The next thing that you're going to do is knit across, and I would do this with the bigger needle. You're going to knit across and just knit one, knit two, purl two, all the way to across. And then when you get to the very end, and I don't think that I need to knit across all 96 of these stitches because it's going to take forever. When you get all the way across and you've knit two, purl two all the way across, then you'll just join into the round starting with the smaller needle. And you'll have this really lovely cast on that is a 2x2 tubular cast on worked in the round. So I'll do that step on Instagram and do a little reel so you can see what that joining into the round looks like. But I think that this is long enough. You don't need to see that step. It's a really obvious join into the round. But I'll finish this up and I'll show you how to do that on there maybe tomorrow. Listen to my voice. Let's have a little tea. Oh, someone just asked what that yarn is, and that is a great question. That yarn is Madeline Tosh. It's a new one to me, TML triple twist, which is an Aran weight yarn. And this orange is Gigi Loves Orange. So I wanted to support Gigi because she is such an incredible supporter of the Knit-a-thon and works really, really hard with her fundraising efforts every year. So I got this, and then I got two different blues, but I'm not sure either of them is the blue. I'm not sure I'm loving either of them. This one is called Cousteau, and it's like a little dark. I'll hold it on. I'll show them underneath the screen in a sec, camera. And then this one's Nassau Blue, and it's like a little bit too, you can't tell. It's actually more turquoise than it looks on the camera. So if I hold them underneath, I could do that, and that would be a really fun, lively hat, and would be very good for hunting season, which it's good to have hats like that around here. And that's like a little too dark. That's not really the Knit for Food colors. So I might end up doing these two together. Or I might go to my yarn store, because who doesn't want to go to their yarn store, and find another blue that works with this orange well, and make a hodola, a kid-size hodola that's striped out of these two, because I think this yarn would make a really nice kids hodola. So, and I've been meaning to make one of the kid-size ones just to have as a gift for somebody at some point. So that's what I'm thinking. Lots of yarn and lots of knitting in this live, I will say. Okay, time to move on to what I'm listening to. I am listening to a book called Sandwich by Catherine Newman, and my friend suggested it to me the other night, just as like a little extra that I might want to read. And I decided to listen to it, love the narrator, and the concept, I actually adore the concept because it's basically my life right now, is a mom who has grown children, like children who have lives, and she's still their mom, always their mom, and then parents who are aging and on their like next phase of life. And so she's kind of in the sandwich between her worlds, right? Like your parenting role changes, It's really good. And it's not a long one. I'm listening to it sometimes. Okay, here's a trick. I have Spotify Premium. I don't know if any of you have Spotify Premium. You can get like 10 or 15 hours a month free of audiobooks on if you have Spotify Premium. So I'll look for books that are like in that 10, 12 hour mark and I'll speed them up a little bit. So I'm listening not at like the intended speed, but like 1.15 or 1.2. So it's just a little faster. So this book is like 5.5 hours listening time. So I can listen to it for free. Granted, I know I have a subscription, so it's not free. Um, but I'm kind of liking doing that with books that aren't 30 hours. I did it once with a book that was long and it was really frustrating because I had to wait until like the month ended and then I had the next 15 hours to listen to the next part of it. I totally forget if it's 10 or 15. Um, so it's kind of a trick, but I look for shorter books and Sandwich is great. Highly suggest it. I'm 3/4 of the way through, so I don't think anything crazy is going to happen. Um, I will say I'm learning a few things about menopause I didn't know about my own body. So thanks for that. Thanks, y'all who've already been through it for not telling me about those things. Um, Reading, I am reading The Briar Club by Kate Quinn, which is like a historical whodunit set in Washington, D.C. Totally enjoying it. I think it came out last July and it wasn't really on my radar and it popped onto my radar. So that's what I'm reading. And then I have two other books queued up. I'm not sure if I'm going to listen to them or read them. One is called Fresh Water for Flowers by Valerie Perrin, and that is set in France in Bourgogne. It's supposed to be fabulous. And then the other is There Are Rivers in the Sky by Elif Shafik. And that one is, I think, set in Egypt. Had a long chat with an old friend the other day, and we were sharing books back and forth. So those were two from her, and then she and I will get to talk about them. Watching. I'm almost done watching The Residence on Netflix, and I liked it so much that I decided to slow it down and pretend there was like an episode every few days instead of just like devouring the whole thing and then not remembering details. So that has Uzo Oduba in it, and she was the main character is this like, oh, she's freaking fabulous. She's a detective and she's a birder and with a capital B, really into birding. And so every bit of her detectiveness is also related to birding. And I couldn't place her. I knew that I knew her. And she was Crazy Eyes in Orange is the New Black. She's a superb actress. So highly suggest that if you haven't already watched The Residence. I am also watching Good American Family on Hulu with Ellen Pompeo. Really liking that. It is creepy. So you have to be okay with something creepy. It's based on a true story of a family who adopted a young girl, I believe from Ukraine, who had dwarfism. And then maybe she turns out to not be quite the age that her adoption paper said. I don't want to give too much away. Um, I've heard someone said they're watching Designated Survivor. I've heard that that's great. I haven't watched that yet, but I want to. I'm also watching on Netflix Finding Ola, which is an Egyptian series. There's three seasons, which I always love. I'm partway through the first season. It's in Arabic with subtitles and dubbing, and the dubbing and the subtitles don't match up. So it's kind of fun to see like how the two translations happened. Like in between it, you really get a good idea, a little bit of more of an idea of the language. So those are things that I am watching right now and enjoying. And then eating wise, let's see. Okay, here's a funny thing. On the cruise, my dear friend Marcia was on the cruise with us, and she told everybody about this egg cooker. And this egg cooker, you do not need this egg cooker at all. Nobody needs the egg cooker. If you have an Instant Pot or a pot, you can boil some eggs or steam them in a pot. You can also steam hard-boiled eggs, soft-boiled eggs. Some of us are very good at overcooking, particularly soft-boiled eggs. If you're someone who likes a soft egg in the morning. And so this egg cooker steams your eggs, but it cooks your eggs by like how much water you put into it. Once that water steams off and evaporates, the buzzer goes off, you turn it off, your eggs are done. So I had to get one because I love a toy. And it did make some great soft-boiled eggs, like absolutely perfect soft-boiled eggs. Also made some great hard-boiled eggs. I make these yummy deviled eggs that are kind of Asian inspired. I make hard boiled eggs, and then I make soy sauce eggs out of them. They're a little jammy. And then I take the insides out and devil that with like ginger and put furikake on top, and they're really yummy. And so I was making those, and I made lots of great hard boiled eggs in the egg cooker that you do not need. There is I guess I'll give you a link to my Amazon shop. I might have put one in there, but my husband told me, I love him, that I wasn't allowed to shill egg cookers on the live because no one needs one. And we all don't need more stuff in our lives. So I'm just going to keep saying that. And then Marcia and I know the egg cooker's awesome. But I ended up giving the egg cooker to my in-laws because they used to eat hard-boiled eggs or soft-boiled eggs in Russia and kind of stopped making them when they came to the States. And I thought my mother-in-law and father-in-law might really like the ease of making eggs in this egg cooker and not overcooking them by mistake. And I think they're loving it because I told them I would take it back if they didn't want it. I didn't get myself another one because I can use a pot or my Instant Pot or whatever. We all don't need another appliance. That's all I want to say. But it's also freaking awesome and adorable and cute and a little bit addictive. You should have heard Marcia talking about them on the cruise. It was like my best favorite thing ever. Marcia says that if you get the egg cooker and you don't like the egg cooker, that she will send you a really good skein of yarn from her stash as an apology for not liking the egg cooker. So how's that? Sherry Max can read the comments. We're not saying that. Okay. Let's do winner. I don't know if he should know that I'm almost done. So let me text him. I need him to finish the stream, so. Winners. The winner of the goodie bag I don't even know what the prompt is. I'm so bad. Last live's prompt was, what movies do you think we should watch on the cruise on movies night? And we ended up watching Wicked Little Letters, which many of you know I had talked about in previous lives. It's a great movie. And I had seen it once on a plane, but I wanted to see it on a bigger screen. And a few people had seen it, but we were all happy to watch it again, the people who had seen it. It was a good watch along together. Lots of laughs. So the winner of the goodie bag is Jenna Godfrey. And Jenna, get in touch with me. I already have your address. I know where you live, so I can send your goodie bag out to you. She suggested Love Again with Sam Hugan, who is an Outlander. And I don't think it's got Celine Dion in it. I'm not sure I saw that when it came out. So I've added that to my my watch list because I really want to watch it. And my giveaway, I can't believe I didn't plan a giveaway. What do you guys think the giveaway should be? I'm so bad. I normally have a plan. I think I'm going to have an extra skein of yarn because I bought a lot of yarn on the cruise. So one of the skeins of yarn that I purchased that I'm not keeping or giving away to the Ravelry group, it will be to the first quarter knit alongs. It'll be a surprise who gets this final skein. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to end the stream. Okay, I hear the stream ending coming. In the comments, once this live is over, tell me what you're knitting. You haven't told me in a while what you all are knitting. So just tell me in the comments what you're knitting. You'll win a skein of yarn. I'd also love to hear what you loved about this insanely long live because they can't be this long all the time. So tell me what you enjoyed. Maybe tell me a part I could skip in the future if there's something that was too much. I'm open. I love doing lives with you. The next live will be either April 30th or May 14th at 7:30 p.m. I'm not sure which one. I'd love to do April 30th because I'll just be back from Patty Lyon's retreat and we can talk about Lake Hug a little bit because that will just be releasing. So we will see. But I thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate all of you. Have an awesome few days, and I will see you for Knit for Food. Well, let's do one final one. I'm such a tease. Is that going to refresh? We're at $337,204. We're at 88% of our goal. We are going to blow away last year's raised amount. Thank you all again. Happy knitting.